What is up, everybody, and welcome to CTW Postgame Show Live. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me tonight, my co-host, Justin Lowe. Folks, we're back. The Boston Celtics are back. We are back. Unfortunately, the Winds, not really back.
Not
as
yet.
the Boston Celtics lose their season opener to the Philadelphia 76ers, 117-116. Not in overtime in regulation. This one did not go to overtime, but in regulation, the Boston Celtics, unfortunately, fall to the Philadelphia 76ers at home in their season opener at the TD Garden. The Boston Celtics now fall to 0-1 on the season. Joe Mazzulla losing his first season opener ever as Celtics head coach. This would be his fourth, right? His fourth. So he's 3-1. 3-1. 3-1 lead with those season openers. However, the Celtics dropped this one tonight, Justin. I have a feeling there are going to be some interesting takes in this post game tonight about what we saw in court. And just got to remind everybody, first game of the season, folks, first game of the season. Not to overreact, but I'm sure there's going to be some mass overreaction, not only from this game, but just from across the league in general. However, Justin, what do you think about this one tonight? The NBA really starting back up in general.
Yeah, you know, I'm just very grateful that the Celtics are back. Let's face it, it was a long off season, a lot of changes being made, but obviously we're coming in here and we're at home. The crowd was phenomenal tonight. The Celtics had opportunities to put this game away. They built an 11-point lead at one point. I believe, actually, the lead got up to about 13 or 14. Listen, uncertain. We saw the uncertainty. Who's going to have the ball in their hands when those winning opportunities happen? We're still uncertain, right? So I think I'm just excited for the Celtics to be back. And there's a lot to take away from this game. We're going to get into it. It's important not to overreact over the first game, win or loss. I think it's crucial because it's an 82-game season. It's a long season. We're going to go through winning streaks. We're going to go through losing streaks. We're going to go through significant ups, and we're going to go through some downs where we're probably going to put some players on the trade block, being the analysts / fans that we are. But it's important not to overreact over the first game, especially after so much change, right, Seamus? I'll give you some things that I liked because I'm sure we're going to get into things that we didn't like. I love the points in the paint tonight. 48 points in the paint. The Celtics attacked, and I love that. Some say they settled for some threes. I think the Celtics just missed a lot of wide open looks tonight. I don't even want to really address the 3-point shot in depth because that's just part of the identity of the Celtics team. As long as it's under Joe Mazzulla, it is what it is. As long as those shots are being generated and as long as those shots are great looks, I'm always going to support the 3-ball, no matter the attempt amount. So I really didn't have a problem with that. But the paint points tonight were so important, especially the Celtics forced to play small tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. Luka Garza exiting in the first half due to concussion protocol, took a brutal blow to the neck area, which there was no call there. There was nothing. And then Neemias Queta fouling out in that fourth quarter, which was crucial because he was really lifting the Celtics in those final minutes. So that ended up hurting the Celtics, forcing them to play smaller than they wanted to. But I really like the paint points. I like the approach on the offensive end. It's the defense, Seamus, and that's going to be something that we're going to talk about quite a lot, not just throughout this show, but through the 82 shows that are coming up, or I should say 81 shows that are coming up, because I think you also have to just put it into perspective of, you know, not to make excuses, but like losing Holiday, Porzingis, and Horford, and you even throw Luke Cornett in there. You losing those guys in one offseason, that's a lot of defense missing. That's a lot of rim protection missing. And then perimeter defense as well with Horford and Drew Holiday. So the defensive end is something that I'm going to be looking at specifically all season long because I know this team can score. I know this team can produce offensively. But I'm really going to look at that defense. I thought the turnovers were solid tonight. The Celtics only had one first quarter turnover, and it was with seconds remaining. It was a just sloppy last minute last second turnover. I don't know what they finished with. I don't know if it was 11
The
turnovers,
turnover,
14.
I believe it was 11 turnovers, and might be going across the bottom of the screen right now. There are 11 turnovers on the bottom of the screen. Relatively low turnover number for the Celtics tonight.
Not bad considering one, a brand new group, and also the Celtics were turnover heavy in that preseason, right? So I know you try not to take too much stock in the preseason, but Celtics didn't face a lot of competition in the preseason, with all due respect, and they were turning the ball over quite a bit. So those were just some things I liked for the Boston Celtics. Seamus, I'll get into what I didn't like. I did not like, and I mentioned it, the defense as we welcome in Andrew Quinn and Griffin Aldrich.
Hey,
In just a moment here.
we'll hold up. Let's take a look at the lead tracker
Oh, we
here
want to do
tonight
the lead tracker?
as we transition Andrew and Griffin into the show. The lead tracker, the Celtics, the sea of green, a little bit. It's seen there a little bit near the end of the game. However, not at the most important moment of the game. Griffin, don't tell me you're at Disney right now again. I mean, it sounds like you're at Disney
I'm
and
not.
far away. That's what it sounds like. But
I didn't
ultimately,
think we were
as
going to have
we
Griffin on after that.
well, wait, where did they go? Oh wait, timeout, folks. Let's bring them back in here. We gotta bring these folks back in here. Here we go. There we go. Here's everybody. My
Welcome
goodness.
back,
What's
fellas.
up, fellas?
There we go.
How we doing?
Scoot over here a little bit.
Tough loss.
Griffin, you look sharp tonight.
Thank you.
You
It's
look-
all from Andrew. It's all from Andrew. I have to say, he said new season, new us, and I said, "You're right, Andrew. Let me go get a nice shirt."
It's all
What do
right,
we
Justin. I
think about
see
the
how it
game?
is.
What do we think?
I tried to put my best dress on as well, but give Griffin all the love. That's
Oh,
all.
no.
Boy, we got
The
the
Franco moment
moment.
right off the bat. Are we kidding? Are we kidding ourselves?
It happens. You know,
It's game one. It's game one, folks. It's game one. That's what happens during game one.
Do the best. Oh, I tried to put that there.
Is that up with duct tape? Do we have a duct tape sponsorship yet?
No, not yet. Franco's working on it. Boys,
That's why he's off camera tonight. And he's working on our sponsorships
Yeah,
here.
behind the scenes.
duct tape specifically.
But guys, above us here, Andrew, Griffin, tonight's game. What are your guys' thoughts on what transpired, particularly at the end, but also throughout?
Griffin, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I'll start it off. I mean, ultimately, a new team and the expectations of winning are still there because we're the Boston Celtics. But ultimately, you look at that and it wasn't as much of a gut punch as it usually is. Like usually after games like this, I'm in pain. I hurt for days after because I'm like, we should have won this game. But there's going to be mistakes, and you have to tackle the mistakes early. Obviously, no one wants to go out there and lose opening night. However, I would rather get the stupid mistakes out of the way early than have them come up later in the season. And those mistakes are going to come up later in the season. That's just how it is. It's going to be a developmental year, and there's going to be a lot of times we're going to be on the verge of banging our head against our desk, but it happens. And ultimately, you know, I saw a lot of good things, and Andrew and I were just talking about this, about Namias Keita and his efforts tonight. And we saw a lot of great things out of a lot of bad things as well. The shooting was not so hot for the Boston Celtics. However, they made up for it in the third quarter and then eventually just ran out of steam in the fourth quarter, and it was a tough one. It was a tough one to watch because it was a tough one when we were up by 11, and it looked like the Celtics could carry a strong lead. However, they got punched in the face by the rookie BJ Edgecombe, and he said, you know what? The Sixers are taking this one because him and Maxey just had a phenomenal game, and it's tough to stop them. You saw tonight that it was tough to stop those two, and I'm going to say the fact that they were unstoppable tonight, and the Boston Celtics did not have an answer for those two players, and that's the tough truth that had to be said, because you look at it, and there was no stopping them, and there wasn't another player that could step up and take the load off of their back, because you had guys like Jaylen Brown, who he had a wonderful night. I see you guys laugh. Don't laugh. Jaylen Brown still had a productive night. Derek White had a productive night, and Amias Queta had a productive night. But ultimately, you need all guys shooting on all cylinders. You need Anthony Simons to be shooting well, and you just all collectively need to be together. And I don't think the Boston Celtics quite have that chemistry down yet. I think give it a little longer into the season, and you're going to see that chemistry kind of clicking. But as of right now, they still have to work. It's a new team. You got to develop them, and they got to get their defense better. And there's just a lot of mistakes, but I'm happy to get them out early. And we're going to look forward, and we're going to get those mistakes out, and we're going to keep rolling. But what are your thoughts, Andrew?
Yeah, I think I'll go off with the defense aspect. Like, I'm with Justin. There was a lot of silly mistakes just in defensive principles from the Celtics. Like, I think there was one time in particular, you see Simons like completely double a drive in the corner. Yeah. Oh. Like that play to me, like what are you doing there? Because Pritchard has the capability to defend, and you're overhelping at that line, allowing for an easy three. It's like those defensive mistakes can't happen, and you got to have a little more of a understanding of just principles as a whole from the defensive perspective. And maybe Simons didn't learn defense because he's clearly overstunting there, but not a jab, just joke. But I think, and just playing as a collective unit on the defensive end and really relying on each other and not letting, inside drives. And Jaylen Brown had a weak closeout at the end of the game where he's closing out. He's closing out he's trying to force him middle, but he decided to close out to the offensive player's like right foot. So you're not at all forcing him middle. Like, it's those little things that need to be cleaned up and really help us kind of, win the margins, because this team is a team that you're going to have to win those margins. Right. Like, you're going to have to win every category. Like, you can't just outperform a team. You can't just offensively just be so good that you're just those margins aren't going to come into play. Like, the margin for ever is a lot smaller this year for this team. And so every aspect needs to be a little more fine-tuned, and there needs to be a little more attention to the details.
I think you have to win those margins differently. Seamus, sorry, I just want to touch on that. I think you have to win them differently. Again, Seamus, I'm killing us to bring back this segment, the film segment, because I could pick about 5 plays specifically tonight if I went back and went through the game footage and screenshot. I could pick about 5 different plays where the Celtics overhelped on defense, and I do think that those types of mistakes are very fixable. And I think, again, I hate to make the excuse. Saying it's a whole new team. I've been saying it for the last 5 games, the 4 preseason games in this one. But at the same time, those miscommunications and those overhelp situations will be resolved over time when these guys are playing with each other enough, and they know their comfortabilities of each other, right? So for sure. I think, knowing that Pritchard doesn't need help on that Pritchard can withhold himself, and same thing with Derek White or Jaylen Brown when he's matched up on a big like Joel Embiid. Like, over time, these guys will get used to playing defense with each other, and they'll realize, okay, I need to stay home here. I don't have to help, because that killed the Celtics tonight. You could definitely tell defensively that this was the Celtics' first game with each other. First game, I understand we played preseason, but Seamus mentioned it in the preseason. No starters played for any team. We got a glimpse of Toronto starters in that final game. We got a glimpse of them, but throughout the 4 games, we really had no competition to really kind of put into perspective of, okay, this is what we are, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to play. We didn't really get that. We were playing G League teams. You guys know, up in Maine, you got, if anything, you two, being Griffin and Andrew, got more footage in notes to take to the main Celtics to cover the main Celtics, and you do to cover the real Celtics. That's what I took from the preseason. So I think just going off your point defensively of the overhelping and stuff, that'll be fixed over time, and it's very fixable. But at the same time, I do think that is the lack of play with each other and the lack of knowing each other's abilities. I think that could play a part.
A level of trust too, right?
Right.
Like just a level of trust and just knowing, hey, Pritchard, you got that. Like you're good. Like, and that comes with time and experience with being on each other's team. And it's really like you said, it's fixable. It's Joe Mazzulla's going to go to the film room. He's going to say, hey, don't do this. Let's fix this. He's going to nail it down in practice. They're going to rep it out, and they're just going to learn from the mistakes. So that's definitely, it's not something to be so afraid of. And to be honest, like from an effort standpoint, and you can go at me or not, like I think defensively there was effort on that end, at least from my perspective. Like I think that there were signs of diving on loose balls, of contesting shots and working together in that aspect. So
I think the effort was there, the execution is not.
Right.
I think
so
that's how I would put that.
So I'd rather at this point of the season have a high level of effort and then work on the details than not have any effort. Because if you need effort before details matter at all, in my opinion.
All right, folks. Where's my driver? I'm gonna tee off. Where's I need my drive. Oh, got it over here.
It's a par three,
so
it's a par
tonight the defense was utterly horrendous, and I'm afraid that this may set the precedent for the entirety of the season for the Celtics. Now, yes, this is one game. Okay, so naturally I came in here going, oh, and I just see Cornet up on the screen. Oh no, distractions, folks. But I came in here saying, let's not overreact over the first game of the season, right? We've done this so many times, right? Overreact over the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. But what we saw tonight out of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, okay? I'll split it up into 13s, right? I'll split it up into 13s because the Sixers in total made 39 shots. Number one, all right, the first 13. Tyrese Maxey made 13 shots. VJ Edgecombe made 13 shots, all right? In the third, number 3. So VJ Edgecombe is second. The rest of the Sixers made 13 shots. So between Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, they made 2/3 of the Sixers shots tonight. They made 26 in between the two of them. VJ Edgecombe, 13 of 26 in his NBA debut. And not only in his NBA debut, but his TD Garden debut. That's a little bit different than playing out in Utah and playing out in Portland. You know, they have a good crowd out there. But ultimately, we just the Portland Trailblazers. I don't know what it is with the Blazers in this program. They're the new Raptors. We just pick on them all the time. But Tyrese Maxey, 13 of 24, even more efficient. And then these two, Maxey, he goes for 40 points tonight. VJ Edgecombe, 34 points in his debut. These two guards were absolutely electric tonight. They played 42 minutes and 41 minutes respectively. And for me, I look at what they were able to do on the basketball court and go, man, we're going to miss Drew Holiday. All right. Drew Holiday did not have his best NBA season last year, specifically on the offensive end of the floor, but defensively, he was still an effective player. And at this moment in time, these two guards going off, and Joel Embiid, 1 of 9 tonight. 1 of 9. I don't even know how much of a factor he's going to be for the Sixers this year. I mean, 1 of 9, scores 4 points, and that's not a career low for Embiid, but it's amidst his career low. This defense for the Celtics is not up to standard yet, and I'm not sure it'll be up to standard. There is this physical component to it, and this level of experience the Celtics lack within their defensive scheme. And let's face it too, offensively as well, playing cohesively as a team. This team has not been together for that long. But defensively tonight, utterly putrid against the two Philadelphia 76er guards. And one of them was making their NBA debut. And for me, I look at that and go, that was a little inexplicable from the Celtics at home, letting those guys go off the way they did. I understand the physical makeups of the two teams, and I understand the positive roads in which one could take away from this situation. But at the same time, when the Celtics own a 10-point lead against a team that's really, if you look at the odds market, they're rated pretty close to each other right now. You know, the odds market may say, oh, the Sixers might own a little bit of an advantage over the Celtics, but it's not definitive whatsoever. When the Celtics are playing at home, they have more of the experience on their roster when it comes to the actual players putting forth the points on the board. Right tonight, Jaylen Brown, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, those guys, right? Anthony Simons as well. When they're holding a 10-point lead down the stretch, you have to close that game out. And the way this game ended for the Celtics, a 17-7 run by the Sixers to end this at the Garden. I mean, to ruin the night as well. I mean, we thought for a moment there was going to be a Celtics win, and unfortunately that just didn't happen. And it didn't happen because the Celtics, like in the preseason, didn't close out in the fourth quarter. And I know those were different circumstances, but the theme is relatively the same here tonight as we look at the lead tracker once again. The Celtics with a big second half lead going into the fourth quarter.
Seamus,
The
stop
fourth quarter.
up.
The fourth quarter. The Celtics going into the fourth quarter own their biggest lead of the night at that point in time, their largest lead of the night. And they, of course, if you look at it, they actually increased their lead in the fourth quarter. So not only did the Celtics own their biggest lead of the night in the fourth quarter, they extended it into the fourth quarter before eventually just collapsing. I mean, this is a collapse right here, unfortunately. I hate to say it. The sea of green was there at the end of the game, but it didn't sustain itself. And I want to just make clear, this lead tracker right here looks a lot like the lead tracker from the Raptors game up in Toronto, right? Where the Celtics lost that game at the end. And not only that game, but how about the last preseason game against the Raptors? Looked pretty similar to that one as well, only the Celtics were able to pull that one out. This one, not so much. And I understand this is a time period of growth for the Celtics, but this performance tonight over time, it's a division opponent. It's the Sixers. There's some new players on the side. I mean, VJ Edgecombe, I mean, he's a rookie, the third overall pick. Got to give him some respect. But the Celtics, they did not handle their business in the way they should have tonight. And they deserve a little bit of condemnation for it. Just saying.
And can I say something too? And chime in if I am off track with this or anything. But this is also a night where you should take full advantage of. This is a night where you need to beat the 76ers. And I'm not saying Paul George is going to come back and be the Paul George we all know. I'm not saying that because Paul George, he's been rocky. But I'm going to say this. Even Embiid, obviously he's still banged up. But if you're playing against an Embiid who's going to have a solid night, and if you're playing against a Paul George who's going to give you a little more too and help VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, you're going to get crushed. And I think that's just the truth. And obviously, again, it's early. So we don't have a panic button this season. But you look at it and it's like the chemistry needs to click. Because if not, we're going to be blowing wins like this, just like that. And that's the rough part because this is a game that we should have completely went after. And I could cool it a little bit because you could say, all right, Maxey had a good night. You're going to have Maxey's going to have a good night. VJ Edgecombe, he did solid tonight, and that might be the VJ Edgecombe we see this year.
Solid. He was historic.
He was amazing.
When you're breaking records by LeBron and Allen Iverson, I think you were more than solid.
Nearly wilt.
Let's just say whoever I was saying. Let's just say whoever gets that 1-of-1 card with that patch, they're going to be making some good dough. They're going to be making some good dough.
Yeah, but it was in jeopardy there for a minute. He missed those two free throws.
I know. I was saying, I'm like, if they lose this game, it's like you can't discredit those points in that performance, but there's an asterisk next to it where it's like, man, I didn't get that win on my first night. That's how I would have seen it as playing in that. But
the Celtics own a chance to ruin it. That's what's just rough about all this. Is like we're watching Horford play with the Warriors and Porzingis play with the Hawks and Cornette play with the Spurs and everybody play everywhere else. Holiday with the Blazers tonight. And then meanwhile, the 76ers come into the Celtics building, put up a historic performance via VJ Edgecombe, not the entire team. The entire team, not too historic from everybody else's perspective. I think the Sixers own a real depth problem to their roster, at
for
least right
sure.
now. Now, Paul George, McCain, they're out tonight, so there's something to say about that. But the Sixers come in, they beat the Celtics by 1, and it's a moment where the Sixers are actually looking towards the future, right? Beyond the Embiid, Paul George era, which is going to be around for a while because those guys are inked to hefty contracts. But the young guys the Sixers have in place, Maxey, Edgecombe, they're clearly, they're up next. And not only them, but McCain. McCain was the talk of the town last year. However, this year it's completely different.
But I will say, like, it's the beginning of the season, so maybe you don't have exactly the game plan, know exactly the game plan that you're going to try to execute to stop Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. But to let just 2 guys really beat you like that is kind of like, it is very frustrating. It's like, how do you not find a way to like get the ball out of their hands and force other guys to make an impact? Like, I think that's kind of something to think about. It's like, we knew these were the 2 guys that were going to be threats, and to just completely let them destroy us, free reign on us is something that I'm a little skeptical of, just in game planning and just in how we kind of that's where I'm at with that.
Well, do you guys believe this is a fluke from the Celtics perspective of allowing this and both Edgecombe and Maxey going off like this, or is this a product of the Celtics? Like, what is it more of, right? Is it more of VJ Edgecombe and Maxey are just those guys and the Celtics are new, or is it just the Celtics, this is how they're going to be, and not only are they new, but this is going to be a byproduct of their team? How much of a fluke was this type of a night? Because sometimes we see season openers, they do not correlate to the rest of the season whatsoever.
Right. Which is why I can't answer that, which is why I need to see more than one game for both Edgecombe, Maxey, and the Celtics. But like, I'm going to be honest with you, in like, Edgecombe and Maxey had it going tonight. How many points did they combine for? Well over half of 70 plus points, well over half of Philly's points. The Celtics just couldn't stop these 2 kids, and these guys were running in transition, and that's where I'm talking about. The Celtics transition defense is not good, and when you're playing fast teams, when you're playing against fast players, oh my gosh, you're going to get cooked, and the Celtics got cooked tonight by Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe on their home court. They just got wiped, and this was a problem that I saw in the preseason with the Celtics. Celtics transition defense has been poor. It's been poor. It comes down to hustle, defense, all of that. But it defensively it's going to be the conversation of the year. I'm afraid that's just what it's going to be. Derek White is a phenomenal defender. Jaylen Brown is a solid defender, wants to become an all-defensive NBA player. After that, I can't tell you. Josh Minott and Hugo Gonzalez, who we saw 4 preseason games, look pretty solid, went to the scorer's table tonight and then never checked in. I don't know. I defensively, the Celtics have a lot of holes to fill. And if you're not in the biggest problem about the defense is, okay, they do finally get a stop. Okay, they do finally force a missed shot. But then they give up a rebound and it creates second chance opportunities, and they build off that and they get momentum off that. And that's exactly what we've seen these first 5 games this season. And that's what we saw tonight in Philadelphia. The Celtics also lack of defense on the perimeter tonight. Philly got going late. The Celtics were not applying enough pressure to the 76ers. I can look at the offense. I can say, why did Peyton Pritchard take the last 2 shots? I could say, why did the Celtics miss so many threes tonight? I can look at all these things. Those are all things that I know the Celtics are going to figure out. It's the defense that I don't know with this roster. Are they going to be, or can they figure it out on a nightly basis? This team has enough offensive talent to continuously put up 116 plus points on a nightly basis, win or loss. But the defense on that side, I'm a little bit lost right now, and I need to see more than one game So I do kind of like facing Philly in game one. I do like seeing New York on Friday on the road. The Celtics need to go through I know I sound like Missoula, like, oh, you need to, like, oh, you got to lose. Like, I love losing. Like, no, I don't. I love winning. But at the same time, like, if this team is going to learn, it's got to be early and it's going to be against solid teams. The Celtics are going to see Detroit, who is supposed to be this up and coming team. They had a terrific year last year, and they're supposed to be an uprising team in the Eastern Conference. Some are saying top 4. Some are saying top 3 between them and Orlando. And you're going to see New York. So Celtics are going to face some high volume competition in the Eastern Conference, and they're going to get a great test. And I'm looking at the defensive end because, as I mentioned, guys, we can do this on the offensive end. I'm not too worried about that. I'm not saying we're perfect on the offensive end and we have a perfect offense and there's no flaws whatsoever, but this whole talk is going to be on the defensive end for me.
No, 100. Oh, you go, Seamus.
No, Griffin, take it over on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think one big thing is you traded for a guy who is offense oriented in Anthony Simons. And that's the thing. You lost a big defender out of Drew Holiday. And this is one absence that you're going to have to continuously make up this season. And that's why we didn't see him play tonight. But Hugo Gonzalez could be an answer for that problem. Now, obviously, he's not going to make up the huge defensive loss, but that could be a key contributor, and that could be an answer to at least slow down the bleeding a little bit, I want to say. But again, I love what you said there, Justin. The offense is fine. The offense, they're going to have nights where they can't shoot completely. They're going to have nights that it's going to be rough shooting. However, the defensive side of the ball is what they really need to work on because the offense will come. They have guys like Anthony Simons who didn't have an incredible night tonight. I think had 13 points. And, he's more than capable of putting up 30. But they have guys that can put up numbers on the stat sheets. However, the defense, we need an answer. What do we do? What I have a question for you guys. What is your answer to that problem? How do we fix the defensive side of the ball? Because that's a problem, and that's going to continue to be a problem all season long. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Well, that's part of the question here is it a personnel problem, or is it the personnel that was out there on the floor tonight did XYZ wrong, right? Because are these because last year and the year before, I mean, obviously the year before the Celtics win the championship, their defense is at an elite level, right? And it kind of, it went down last year. Now the players are completely different. We know this team is going to be worse than the last 2 seasons. We know this for a fact. But to what level and where, right? And right now I'm looking at the defensive side of the ball and I'm going, that looks like it's going to be an area in which, because of the personnel, the Celtics are going to take a step back. And the essential answer to your question, Griffin, is the Celtics can get better throughout the season on the defensive end of the floor. They can improve on the defensive end of the floor, but will they ever reach that elite status? Likely not, simply because of who's out there, right? Simons is not a world-class defender. No matter whether or not he learned defense in Portland or not, he's not a world-class defender. I mean, he's 7-8 years into his NBA career, right? At this point, he's just not one of those guys. Pritchard, look, I don't want to be, I don't want to be anti-Pritchard here whatsoever. But at the same time, I look at Pritchard and say, well, no matter whether or not people, say he's a dog on defense or whether or not he actually is a dog on defense, right? It's, half of the game film, half of the propaganda from the fan base and the media, right? No matter where it comes from, Pritchard is always going to own a size limitation. Yeah. He's about 6 foot tall. And that's just the bottom line of Peyton Pritchard. And that backcourt pairing right there of Pritchard, Simons, one of them is always going to be out there. That's going to be a weak link within your defense. And then furthermore, I mean, the big man position, that's part of why I look at tonight. Okay, well, if I'm thinking of how VJ Edgecombe and Maxey receive some of their points, it's at the rim, right? They're at the rim. And our backline help and our backline, how stout is it really? And I'll give this I'll give this out too. Luka Garza went out at halftime due to a potential concussion. He entered concussion protocol, so we'll have to see what happens with Luka Garza. That could have affected things a little bit for the Celtics, but Luka Garza is not a player you're necessarily looking at and going, okay, yeah, if Luka Garza's in the game, that changes absolutely everything down the stretch. I mean, it's arguable that Luka Garza would have even been in. But points in the paint tonight, the Celtics actually did own the points in the paint, 48-36. The second chance points, Philadelphia won that 21-17. But then the fast break points, 21-16. And that's where the Celtics struggled, as you guys mentioned tonight. However, in that third quarter, the Celtics did not struggle. The Celtics actually ran ahead of the Sixers a little bit, and then they went away from the narrative we're really speaking on right now, which is about the Celtics defense. The Celtics in that third quarter outscored the 76ers 35-18, and they were led by Derek White, who had 13 points in that third quarter. What exactly led to the Celtics and Derek White dominating that third quarter against the Philadelphia 76ers tonight? What exactly led the Celtics downhill in their good moments opposed to some of their bad that we've been touching on?
Well, during that stretch, the Celtics actually hit 3-pointers. I mean, that was big. The Celtics hit the last hit a 3-pointer at I think it was the 8:23 something mark of the second quarter, and they didn't hit their first 3-pointer till the 8 something mark of the third quarter. So they went on a long stretch without hitting a 3-point field goal. I believe it was 9 straight missed 3-pointers. Celtics got going from deep, and the Celtics team, no matter who's on it, once they see one go in, the Celtics go on a run themselves. Celtics, I think it capped at like 23-9, but I believe it started 16-0. It was a 16-0 run for the Celtics. Celtics were also getting stops. The Celtics were getting defensive rebounds. They were closing out defensive possessions during that stretch. And the Celtics were Jaylen Brown, by the way, during that stretch was facilitating beautifully. He was getting to the basket. He was driving in, kicking out, making plays. And the Celtics kind of strayed away from that in that fourth quarter, which is that uptick of Philly. But Celtics were closing out defensive possessions, and they were pushing the pace offensively. I love when the Celtics push the pace offensively. Just a big risk in pushing the pace offensively, especially with a new team, is you create a lot of live ball turnovers, which could be very, very significant in a game, especially a close game in the second half. But the Celtics took care of the basketball. They hit their shots, and they were closing out defensive possession. Even if they weren't forcing turnovers, even if they weren't, just wreaking total havoc on the ball, they were getting rebounds and they were getting out. And that was really important. And once that Garden crowd gets going, you feel it, and the Celtics erupt. And that's what they did in that third quarter. So obviously, we'll talk about the fourth quarter, but that third quarter, the Celtics did what they were supposed to do, and they ended up building a 13-point lead out of that.
Yeah, I don't have much else to add to what Justin was saying and aspects of what they did well, but something that stands out to me is the Celtics started hitting their threes.
Yeah.
The Celtics, the Garden starts getting involved, and now defense starts to kind of pick up, and now you're starting to close out possessions on that end. It's like making shots should not translate to now start playing defense on that end. You know what I mean? And so we shouldn't be relying on that momentum. It should be a day in, day out, all game defensive attitude where you're sticking to principles and you're doing it throughout. And so I think that's a concern and something to just think about. It's like, are the Celtics during that stretch, did the Celtics play good defense just because they were playing good defense, or is it because they were hitting their shots, they were feeling good about themselves, and then the moment they stop hitting their shots, you see a decline in that defense? So that's a problem that I think they should definitely figure out.
Yeah, one thing I do have to say that really impressed me when the Celtics started hitting their threes in that third quarter was just the Garden was booming. And the one thing I do have to say is you saw they've definitely been working enough this offseason because they have a little something going. And that's what I love to see from the team this year. And I love to see it, turn up in the third quarter. And one thing that really stood out to me though is and Justin, you already said it, so I sound like a repeating clock, but after that first three dropped, it looked like things were clicking for the Celtics, and they had the momentum going into the fourth quarter. However, and I like what Rob said when I was talking about this. It's not necessarily they take the foot off the gas pedal now because they have fresh legs on the team. They were going out of control a little bit, and they were making defensive errors. And you guys pretty much summed it up, but I do have to say in the third quarter when the crowd was booming, it sounded like a playoff game in there. And, on opening night, the crowd's going to be loud. And this is a win that the Celtics should have got, but in that fourth quarter, they just fell hard. They fell hard. And that's ultimately what it came down to.
Yeah, and what was surprising about this game, too, is the fact on the other end, if you look at the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, a player that simply was not involved was Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was not involved whatsoever. 1 of 9 tonight, 4 points for Joel Embiid. Ultimately, looking at where Joel Embiid is right now in his NBA career, is Joel Embiid still a difference maker for the Philadelphia 76ers? And what kind of impact does Embiid's status own on the Sixers and really their relativity with the Celtics as well, right? We're talking about the Celtics as, are they going to be above the Sixers in the standings? Or the Sixers going to hop the Celtics? Right now, it's hard to tell, knowing, I mean, both teams don't really have expectations for where they're going to end up. The Sixers are going into it going, well, we're going to we'll see with Paul George and Joel Embiid. Then the Celtics are going into it going, we'll see with Anthony Simons and Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and everybody. It's both teams are coming into this season with a we'll see mentality, a we'll see attitude, right? But ultimately, Joel Embiid first returns tonight, and even the 20 minutes he played in preseason. What do we think about where Joel Embiid is at right now, and really the Sixers' relativity with the Celtics?
Joel Embiid. Boys, I've been saying it for years. These past 2 years specifically. Philadelphia needs to get rid of Joel Embiid. Why would I want that as a Celtics fan? Why would I want to see Philadelphia get better? Because it's sad. Because it's horrific to see what Philadelphia is going through. Every game day, and I hate Philadelphia. So whenever they lose, I go on social media. I'm not typing away, but I'm just seeing how their fans react. And something that's sad, which I'm so grateful that Jason Tatum is our superstar and Jason Tatum is our franchise player. Jason Tatum's always available, considering he's out right now with a season-long injury, but he's always available. His questionables always turn to availables. His doubtfuls always turn to availables. Joel Embiid's availables just turn to outs. They don't even turn to questionable or doubtful or probable. They just straight up go to outs, and he's in street clothes. They debuted these new brotherly love jerseys and these throwback black Sixers jerseys, and they post pictures of Joel Embiid, damn well knowing that he's going to be in street clothes tonight that they wear those jerseys. It's sickening to see Joel Embiid in a fan base. And I get it. I shouldn't have sympathy for the Philly fans, but I really do, because having Joel Embiid as your franchise player is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And every game day, I see in the comments, Philadelphia fans, is Embiid playing? Is Embiid playing? They don't even know their own injury report. They don't even know when Embiid's playing and when he's not playing. And they don't even know how healthy he is. Is he at 75? Is he at 100? Is he at 25? Is he at 35? They don't know. Embiid doesn't know. And I think it's sickening. And I think Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers need to part way as soon as possible. I think Joel Embiid, I think Kyle Lowry, I think Paul George all need to get off of the ship. Abort. They got to get out. And Philadelphia needs to dish them out. The problem is, and we've talked about it here on the program many times, especially during the trade deadline, who the hell wants that to pay Paul George and Joel Embiid that type of money? Who wants to pay those two players that type of money? Not many teams want to, and I'm sure that they've tried to shop around. Don't let them kid you. And my new thing is, Luka Doncic gets traded, anybody can get traded at any given time. Nobody's off the table. Nobody wants Joel Embiid. Nobody wants that knee. Nobody wants to pay him that money. And quite frankly, nobody wants to deal with his childish attitude on a night-to-night basis. Philly fans are sick of him. Philly fans are sick of him. They are sick of him. And you get those select few kind of far Philadelphia people who, trust the process. You've trusted the process far too long. You've put too much effort into it. You put too much of your emotion into it. It's not working. It's never worked, and it's never going to work. You have VJ, you have Tyrese, and you have Jared McCain. 3 terrific, prolific players. The only problem is they're all guards. Play on the wing. You get yourself a damn good center. I would love to see a Bam Adebayo next to a Tyrese Maxey. You got a damn good team in Philadelphia. You got a damn good core, young core in Philadelphia. You want my opinion? It hasn't changed, and it's not going to change. Joel Embiid, they got to part ways ASAP.
Can I say one thing for me is I'm at the point where I was with Zion last year, that I just have given up on Zion. I've given up on Embiid. One thing about Joel Embiid is the Sixers have been counting on him year in and year out. They're like, all right, when Embiid comes back, we're going to compete. This is when we're going to compete. We're going to compete when he's back. And Justin, you said it perfectly right there. The question is, when is he going to be back? When is he going to be healthy? Because one thing for me is, I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember on Christmas last year when we faced the 76ers and he literally fell over the rope. Like, this guy...
Yeah, pre-game. I was there when it happened. I remember taking a video. Like he injured during the pre-game warm-ups. Nobody was even around.
CTW film of that.
Yes,
certified CTW film.
It fell over rope like he's glass, and that's the thing. And you already said it, so I can't even sum it up any better. But they have such a young core. If they move off of those old vets. You could I wouldn't even mind them keeping a Kyle Lowry just for experience there and a veteran to, help lead the ship, because I think a veteran or two are fine. But when you're paying guys top dollar like Paul George and Joel Embiid, it's not worth it when they're not giving you production on the floor. If you have a player like a Curry or a LeBron who could still give you production on the floor and be a leader, I'm open to that. But for the 76ers, these guys aren't even playing. And I don't know, but I don't think Joel Embiid is a big name in the locker room to call on for advice. And I don't really see him as a mentor. I see him, and I'm not trying to throw shade at Embiid, but I just never seen him as a leader. I see him more as all right, I'm working on myself. I'm trying to come back. And then it's like, I don't want to play because I don't want to get injured. And half the time I see him out there, he looks like a robot for how much padding he has on his leg. It's like,
he doesn't look good at all.
Doesn't. And that's the problem. I think it was last season, I saw him out there and his leg just looked like a robot. Like, just leave. Like, if you're in that much physical pain and you can't play, why are you even out there? Why are you putting yourself out there in that situation? And it's like the 76ers, and I love what you said, and it's not for the benefit of me because I do not support the 76ers, but it's like they have a young core there. All right, keep one or two of your veterans in a Kyle Lowry or Andre Drummond to kind of give mentor advice, but don't keep the guys that you're paying top dollar just to sit the bench and watch, and you're just paying them for nothing. And you're paying them when you could get younger value. I don't know how much you would get for them. I really don't. But at the end of the day, they're just sitting on the bench. They're taking up bench space. I mean, they're taking up roster spots. That's so valuable in the NBA. We've seen, obviously, with the Celtics offseason, roster spots are valuable. There are some guys that we wouldn't have minded picking up on the free agent market. Those are roster spots that they're just soaking up. And another thing, they're costing you top dollar. So it's just get them out if you want any success, because right now it's just a revolving door. It's going to come back to the same situation. It's going to come back to, hey, Joel Embiid is ready. Are you guys ready? Well, tonight we saw he was on a minutes restriction, and when they needed him most in the fourth quarter, he couldn't even play. And it's like, what are we doing?
Minute restriction or not, he sucked. He was hurting. He was a minus 16 in 20 minutes. I'm not kidding you. I am not kidding you. I was praying when the Celtics started collapsing in the final 5 minutes. I was praying, and when Xavier Tillman checked in because Nimi checked out, he fouled out. I was praying that Nick Nurse was going to throw Joel Embiid back in there so the Celtics could just feast on him. I knew, and it was the first play off the bench. Xavier Tillman nearly forced a jump ball to Joel Embiid, and then Joel Embiid just took the ball and shot it right in his face and got blocked. Like he thought that was going to work, and then X goes and scores on the other end. I love you, X. And X played phenomenal tonight. I really think if we're going to bring back the Justin Flowers section, I'm giving it to X tonight. X, you get Justin Flowers tonight. We'll have to get the graphic back, but you get my flowers tonight. I'll talk about you later. But Joel Embiid, I was praying that he was going to get back into this game. The Sixers are better without Joel Embiid. They've been better without Joel Embiid. And right now, they are better. And I'm not just saying that because VJ and Tyrese had a good game and they scored over 50% of the points for the Sixers. That's a regular occurrence. That is going to be a regular occurrence. And Joel Embiid, if Philly wants to win and they want a chance at winning, trust me, Joel Embiid is not the answer. They got to get rid of him.
And I want to say one last thing, too. It's not even the fact of, all right, you have to put in Joel Embiid because he's not productive, and you obviously saw that in the game today. He was not productive at all. It's the fact that you want old Embiid to be productive, and you're not going to get old Embiid. Embiid, I'm sorry, but from what we've seen from the past couple years, Embiid is not coming back. His knee and leg is just so messed up that we're not going to get the same Embiid we saw MVP Joel Embiid season. We're not going to see that same productivity from Joel Embiid. I'm sorry, it's the truth.
You know how I look at it right now? I'm like, you know what people get? You know, they get height extensions. It's like in their legs. It's like Joel Embiid is that right now. You have the name on paper. Oh, I was this height and now I'm above 6 foot.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I'm moving still pretty weirdly because my legs are a bunch of pieces of metal. It's like that's where it's at right now with Joel Embiid. It's like, yes, I'm Joel Embiid. I have the potential. Like we're even talking about like potential. You know what I mean? To perform now. You know what I mean? Like
to be
like,
what?
Like I'm saying, like to even think about that though is like to come back. Like I can potentially provide something to you. Like that's what it feels like right now in this moment in my eyes. Like he can't even do anything. But what I'm saying though is this: we're at that point now where we're like trying to like imagine a story where Embiid is successful, where he is a piece, and it's just like it's a thing of the past. It's time to move on. It's time to accept the fact that it's a new era. It's a new journey that we need to take. Because it's really affecting even like the Sixers' identity. You know what I mean? Just like the franchise as a whole. You know, like that's detrimental to them. It's like people don't want to go to the Sixers because you have a guy like Joel Embiid that just is not showing success and not being a leader.
A little conspiracy. Everybody put the blame on Joel Embiid with the whole Ben Simmons situation. Or everybody put the blame on Ben Simmons with the whole Ben Simmons situation. Why are we holding Joel Embiid accountable?
Agreed.
Why? What, because of health? Because even when he's been on the court, he hasn't looked great and he hasn't led to winning. And what winning has he led to because he hasn't been past the second round? I agree. Identity thing.
I was one who was on the train of the Sixers need to build around Ben Simmons and they need to get rid of Embiid because I was on the train of, well, if this league is going to a fast-paced, spread-out type of game, right? Which at the time, right now, I feel like from watching opening night and tonight, The pace is crazy, and even preseason, the pace is crazy right now. But specifically the 3-pointers, right? Like, we're playing a perimeter game. Joel Embiid, this is part of the identity problem for the Sixers. Half of the Sixers want to play fast. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid, his play style demands a team needs to play slow on the offensive end of the floor. If you think about Maxey and Edgecombe, they're quick guards. They're up and down the floor. They're quick. They're going towards the rim. Meanwhile, Embiid, I mean, when the ball hits his hands, it's a back down, a shimmy, little, and it takes forever. It takes forever. And if he's not scoring at an efficient rate, which obviously tonight he went 4 points on 1 of 9 shooting, I mean, that is something the Sixers can't even consider involving in their offense, right? Because the Sixers beforehand took a step back from pace because they deferred to Joel Embiid and wanted to give him the ball in those situations, and went, if you take a couple extra seconds here, he's still scoring the ball at a tremendous rate. Well, now if he's not scoring the ball at that same rate, why would the Sixers slow the progress down of their offense to accommodate Joel Embiid? And that's the problem here, because Joel Embiid right now on his contract, he's owed $55.2 million this year. Okay, well, we knew he was going to be on the roster this year. Everyone knew that. But Joel Embiid, after this season, right, which we're in game 1, folks, game 1. If you look at the title, it's game 1. Joel Embiid owns 3 more years on his contract. 3 more. $58.1 million next year, the year after in 27-28, $62.7 million, and then in 28-29, $67.4 million. And it's a player option. I imagine he'll be picking up that player option later on down the line. But this is a disastrous situation for the Sixers. And even though there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because VJ Edgecombe and Maxey looked incredible, and you still have McCain coming back and all those guys. You definitely, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. But Paul George and Joel Embiid, that situation, the identity of the team, and those 2 contracts specifically, trying to build out the rest of the roster, I mean, it's going to be rough for the Sixers, because tonight, Joel Embiid, he looked slow. He looked completely slow. He looked late on rotations. Yeah. And he looked 100% willing to settle for a jumper rather than attack the rim aggressively. I mean, that's what made Joel Embiid so great years ago. He was able to attack teams in different areas of the court, and not only in different areas, but in different ways. Right now, it's settling for a jumper, settling for a jumper, settling for a jumper. I mean, he is settling, and that's not only seen in tonight's game. That was seen in preseason as well. And he only played one, I believe he played 1 game in preseason against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was his only game. And it was the same result there. And Joel Embiid, up to this point, hasn't played too much basketball, right, this season. But, I mean, this is a reoccurring theme of Joel Embiid now for a year and a half, really since the Olympics, that time period, more than a year now. And I don't see this getting any better whatsoever in the fact we saw it tonight. This was not two areas of the Sixers, right? The Sixers, on one hand, are looking towards the future with Maxey, with McCain, with Edgecombe. And then on the other hand, they're looking at Paul George, who missed tonight's game with a knee injury. And then Joel Embiid, who shot 1 of 9. And they're taking up the bulk of their salaries. I mean, with the Sixers, you have these good things over here, but then these things over here are still going to be hampering the Sixers for years to come, unfortunately. But Joel Embiid, as a star, doesn't look too great. However, talking about another star tonight, on the other side of the court, the other bench, right? Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown tonight, 25 points, made 9 shots. Jaylen Brown at the end of the game did not receive the ball the last 2 possessions when the Celtics own a chance to win the game. I mean, the score you see at the bottom of the screen, the Celtics own 2 more possessions at the end of the game to win this thing. Peyton Pritchard took both shots. Brown did not. However, tonight, Jaylen Brown looked certainly solid at times. Wasn't his best performance in the world, but what do we think about Jaylen Brown's first returns as the Celtics' primary guy in a real regular season game?
I think he looked good. I think he was playing some pretty highly efficient basketball. He's shooting 50% from the field. He wasn't settling for threes, and he was looking to attack the basket. I'm all for anybody who's looking to attack the basket rather than settling for jump shots. Jaylen Brown was pure in the mid-range tonight. I don't know how he found so many wide open shots in the mid-range, but he did, and he took advantage of it. He also was a solid playmaker tonight, only with 4 assists, but he was dishing the ball out. Like I said, he was facilitating well in that third quarter, which is a huge reason why the Celtics got back into this game and ended up extending their lead in that third quarter, making plays. And he kind of came out early doing a little bit of everything. I mean, he had 4 or 5 rebounds right off the bat, along with those 3 assists, 3 of his first 4 assists. So, Jaylen Brown came in and did what he was supposed to do. Now, when you talk about the final shot, I think I'm just gonna out myself. I said I didn't want the ball in Jaylen Brown's hands for the final shot in the group chat. I said it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a man of my word. Why did I say that? I just when it comes down to that situation. Man, how do I put this?
You're not the only one, though. I will say.
Okay, you're not the only one. I understand that, and look, it's just like I'm here in my office as somebody who will never be able to play at the level that they will play at. So what does my opinion matter? But at the same time, like I'm just like my train of thought is like, ooh, Jaylen Brown's handles in a up tempo, fast environment usually doesn't result in anything but really a turnover or maybe a block shot. So yeah, I didn't feel like this was a Jaylen Brown game-winning situation. To be quite honest with you, I was comfortable with Peyton Pritchard taking that shot. I didn't love the kind of when he got in trouble, he kind of just hucked it towards the rim instead of looking to kick it out. And then I didn't mind that second baseline shot. If anything, I didn't mind the last shot. I didn't mind that. And it was kind of more that first shot where the ball hit the bottom of the rim. But I think that's something that we're going to have to figure out, boys, because we're used to the Jason Tatum aspect of this. We're going to be in these tight games, guys. We're going to put a fight. Like we're going to have effort all season long. It's not like we're going to go out there, and I'm sure we'll have a few stinkers, but we're not going to go out there every night, no matter what people think of this team. We're not going to just get blown out on a nightly basis. That's just not what the Celtics are going to do. They're not going to let that happen. So we are going to find ourselves in a lot of games where we do need to come up with ways to win the ball game at the end. We are going to have those opportunities. And tonight we saw that without Jason Tatum. We saw it right off the bat. I was kind of thinking to myself in the preseason when, especially during those 2 Toronto games when it got tight down the stretch, say, boy, usually we're used to Tatum in these situations. We know the ball is going into Tatum's hands, whether it's a step back or whether it's a drive or a sidestep 3. Like we know Jason Tatum is the man. Now we're kind of sitting here and saying, well, are we going to go Jaylen Brown? We're going to go Peyton. Are we going to go Anthony Simons here? Are we going to go Anthony in the backcourt? Are we going to go Sam Hauser on a back cut in an off-ball screen? So there's different ways that the Celtics could have gone. They went with Pritchard. I don't know if it was designed for Pritchard or if the ball just ended up in Pritchard's hands and Pritchard just tried to make something happen. But in terms of Jaylen Brown's performance tonight, people wanted him to take those last 2 shots. I loved his performance overall. I think he was aggressive. I think defensively he looked sharp. I didn't see any we talk about Embiid and he looked stiff tonight with his knee. I didn't really see any lingering issues with Jaylen Brown tonight in that hamstring. Nothing really stuck out to me in terms of any limping or any favoring of the specific leg. But I think he looked good. I think he looked healthy, and I think he looked ready to go. And he looked like he wanted to win this game really bad tonight.
Well, I have to say, Justin, first, I don't doubt at all that the Boston Celtics are going to be competitive this year. I feel like we're going to be a little more frustrated this year because we're going to be playing 500 ball majority of the year. And I have to say that could be the case, that could not be the case. Who knows? But likely the case.
Well, it's either going to be the case or not.
Well, I'm just saying we're either gonna play over 500 or we're not. But this is the thing.
Or actually, we could go 41-41. To be
Yeah,
fair,
we could play
ask the
500.
Atlanta Hawks about that. There was
They do it every
I want
year.
to say there was this ridiculous 200 game stretch where the Hawks were just 500 or like
There was. It was last year.
yeah, it was
That's
just
so funny.
It's like every stage of the last was like 25, 50. It was like every stage they were 20. They were 500. They were 500. So Griffin,
What is
I'm not quite.
It's
Well,
the Atlanta Hawks.
This is my thought, though. We're going to be competitive. And I have to say, shout out to Josh Griffith because he does not have to get the buzz cut, Seamus. And Andrew, were you on there? If you guys
I was, yeah.
remember, Jaylen Brown was supposed to drop 40. He didn't drop 40, so no buzz cut for Josh Griffith.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember
Damn,
that.
that's a shame.
Okay, so I
Episode
wish we
69.
remembered that. Griffin, you remember that before the game, but I wish we remembered that. I
Yeah, that
totally
would have been
forgot
a
about it
good
because then we would have been
clip.
tracking it, right? Would have been tracking it. You were
Yeah.
tracking it though, so
I was
worth a
on top
mention.
of it. But yeah, go check out episode 69, Celtics Nation Rise. Go check that out, and you'll hear all about it if you guys don't know about it. But I thought overall a very productive night from Jaylen Brown. I mean, it's gonna take a while, and I don't even think he will become the number one guy. Like on this team, I do not see him being exactly the number one option. I see Derek White having nights that he could perform and be the number one guy. I see a lot of guys that could really mix match in there and be the highest scoring person. I don't think it's just going to be Jaylen Brown. I think that's where his ceiling is this season, but I don't know if that will necessarily be the fact of the I can't even say it, the fact of the matter, or whatever, however you say it. But ultimately, I look at it this way, and I think that Jaylen Brown had a very productive night, and I don't think we're ever going to get the version of Jaylen Brown that he's taking the last shots. I look at this, and I don't think we will see a certain player taking the last shot in a game until Jason Tatum comes back. I just don't see that happening. And ultimately, though, I thought he did great. I love how he was attacking the basket, and I love how aggressive he is. And I love that Jaylen Brown, even though he was in pain the other night, he went out there and still looked like he was fine. And this is a guy who's going to get it his 100 on every single night. And I really have been referencing starting five a lot because, and I have to disagree because they didn't show Jaylen Brown a lot, which frustrated me. So Netflix, you need to show the Celtics players more in there, just saying. But anyways, from what I saw from him, though, he works hard. This is a player who loves to work hard and is aggressive. And he was aggressive and worked hard tonight. You know, it's not the outcome that we wanted to see. And he could have, I wish he took at least one of the last shots because there were a couple, you know, in the clutch there. But ultimately, it sucks. But the Boston Celtics are going to be fine. They're going to be competitive. This is not a team to hang your head on because you're going to look forward, and there's going to be nights where we're looking at this and we're going to say, oh, it was a close game, should have had it. But there's also going to be nights that I believe that we're going to be celebrating because it's going to be a big Boston win. I just see that on the horizon, and I think Jaylen Brown is going to be one of the key contributors behind that.
And Andrew, what are your thoughts on Brown's performance tonight?
I think it was like ultra efficient. I mean, I think that he looked really fluid in his movements. I think his dribbling, to be honest, looked better than preseason. Like maybe it looked like he shook a little rust off in that area. But I really do think that like he was getting to his spots and really playing like high quality, efficient basketball on the offensive end. And defensively, there's really never a question like of his effort and of his intensity and his ability to defend. Like I think he typically plays very well on that end. In my eyes, I think Jaylen Brown gets that ball when it comes down to it. Like I think he was being denied, but you got to get your best player the ball, no matter the cost. I understand that maybe there's not as much faith. Maybe we're relying on Tatum, but right now Brown's our guy. He's our best player. He's the guy we're relying on, and he's the guy you got to put faith in. And I think you either You either die by Jaylen Brown missing a shot and not performing, or you thrive on Jaylen Brown hitting a shot and winning you the game. That's my opinion. He's our leader. He's the Celtics leader. He's the guy that is taking charge. And so you give him that ball because, one, it's out of respect, and two, we're putting faith in him to perform throughout the entirety of the game. So why aren't we putting faith in him in the late game? And so that's my viewpoint.
Well, for me, I gotta say, all the notion that, you know, the internet is going to spread out and say, and even Scal was saying on the post game, so it's not just the internet, you know, we're gonna say here too, the ball needs to hit Jaylen Brown's hands. That's not the take I'm giving out though. That's the take of the internet, right? That's the take of everybody.
I understand.
But I'll add some nuance to this. Didn't quite see the well, I haven't seen a replay yet. I was like, wait, I should just go look one up as I'm thinking
Probably
about
get
this,
denied
right?
too.
Right. But haven't seen a replay of this, but sometimes the person, the player who's supposed to receive the ball doesn't receive the ball, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes that goes awry. You know, a defense might put two on a play. I mean, we saw it last year against the Houston Rockets when, I mean, this wasn't quite the same type of play, but, you know, when two guys take the same guy, and then all of a sudden Alperen Şengün is wide open down the lane, right? I mean, that can ultimately happen. The Celtics didn't see that on the last possession when it comes to Jaylen Brown or Peyton Pritchard, with one of them owning the ball, holding the ball in their hands. But at the end, to me, I'm not upset with Pritchard taking both of those shots, really, because the second shot, we have to think too. The first shot was after a timeout. Okay, so that one was more drawn up, more planned. But the second one was 1 second, it's out of bounds. The Celtics, no timeouts left. You have to run a play, just go, right? And that second one, it's whatever you can really get. And it's really what do you have ready on the fly, right? That was kind of a test of what do the Celtics actually have ready on the fly. But I'm not too upset about Pritchard taking both of those shots there, because Peyton Pritchard, we know, is a tough shot maker, and he really, in my mind, is going to have to be right alongside Jaylen Brown and taking those tough shots down the stretches of games alongside Anthony Simons as well. I think Simons, Brown, and Pritchard, all three of those guys are tough shot makers, can make shots at the end of games. And I don't really have any grift against either of them touching the ball. I mean, say it was Simons or Pritchard over Brown. Now, just looking at the last play here. Now, wait, hold up. I'm looking at the last play. So this one is this. I'm looking at the last shot right now. So Jaylen Brown, he comes off. So he sheds his defender, Kelly Oubre, right? But then he goes and
think there's
sets
a chance for him to
screen for
get the ball.
Pritchard. He goes and sets a screen for Pritchard. There's really no action in which Jaylen Brown, and this is where it would be a lot better if we had this film up on
For sure.
the screen, but at the same time, there's really no action on that play, because it looks like at first Jaylen Brown sheds his guy, right? But then he goes and sets a screen for Pritchard at the top of the key, and then Pritchard runs from the top of the key to the corner, and then so Brown sets the screen on Grimes. Grimes switches on to Brown. Grimes was originally on Pritchard, but then Edgecombe picks up Pritchard. Edgecombe was originally on Brown. So those guys switch. Pritchard gets an okay, when he receives the ball, he's in front of Edgecombe. So he has okay leverage against him. But then Maxi's there on help, which is really the most underrated part of this play, because Pritchard runs to the corner, right? He runs to the left corner. If you're looking at the basket, right? He runs to the left corner. Anthony Simons is inbounding the ball from that left corner, which of course Tyrese Maxey is standing guarding the inbounder, but he's kind of guarding the middle portion of the lane. Well, because Pritchard runs over to the corner here, Maxey's in a perfect help position on this play, and Pritchard would have otherwise had either a wide open look at the rim, whether it was a baseline little mini jumper, or it was a, just go to the rim, lay it up and in type of shot from the baseline. Would have had a wide open shot if Maxey wasn't sitting there on perfect help, just guarding the inbounder. I mean, I wish I could show this up on screen, but Maxey is literally sitting there just guarding the inbounder and Simons.
I mean, there's not
Pritchard
even
almost runs to him like, "Oh, hello, oh, you're here." So not the greatest of play designs there at the end. Clearly a flaw with the inbounds play, but going and looking at the other play real quick, just to break this one down. So Brown actually, if you look, well, this again,
Isn't
where I wish I could have this
corner?
up on screen, but
Isn't he originally flash corner to get like?
Brown flashes to the corner, and he's actually open for
Yeah,
the. Oh man, I mean,
that's
if
what I was
Brown.
thinking.
Oh, I want to show this. You know what? I'm going to show it on the iPad, maybe up on screen here. No, well,
That
hold up.
to be honest,
I know,
when
but
to be
regardless,
honest,
but
when the
there's a.
play first
Oh man,
happened,
if we could show this, Brown comes off. So let's see. He flashes to the corner. Oubre's on his hip, and he kind of brushes past Maxi. And there's a moment where Oubre and Maxi are in front of Brown. Brown is flashing towards the corner. That actually leaves the pass. Like
yeah,
when White is looking at the court, right? If he's looking up court, that pass is open to Pritchard, right? Because those two guys, Maxi and Oubre, shedding down towards Brown. Brown's flashing to the corner. There's nobody screening for Brown, but Brown's flashing to the corner. Maxi and Oubre kind of shed towards Brown, right? They kind of gravitate towards Brown. That leaves the pass open for Pritchard. But what I'm looking at here when this on this freeze frame is, see, I'm just going to try to bring it up here. Let's see. I mean, look at that. If Brown
yeah.
curls towards the rim right
You got
here,
Oubre on his hip.
right here, I'm thinking Brown curls towards the rim and White delivers that pass over the top. You know what play this looks similar to? Well, it's not the same play, but there's remnants of what it would look like. It's the play from the confetti game where the ball goes over the top to Horford, and I believe he had Robert Covington on him at the time. I don't remember who he had on him. I think it was Robert Covington. Size advantage over Robert Covington, gives him one bump and just puts it in over him, little hook
Yeah.
shot. This play, I mean, you could argue Jaylen Brown. I mean, we know he's been in with the water workouts, everything. Griffin, you know about this. I mean, right here, if he curls towards the rim instead of just totally flashing towards the corner and burying himself there, if he curls towards the rim, receives the ball, he has Oubre on his hip. I mean, that could be a one bounce, put the hip in, put the shoulder in, and
Yeah,
I mean, dunk it home or a layup right there, or even
Right.
an open layup where Oubre's chasing him down and he's laying it up and in. But I mean, you're either going under the rim and you're coming back and putting it up and in, or you are curling towards the basket, receiving the pass like a wide receiver, and then, of course, or just, I mean, man, simple. I would say here too, look at the top of the key. Now, this wasn't the play design here, but man, if you just had somebody run towards the rim in this situation, I wonder how, like, if you just threw a
how
lob,
they
like
guard
the
it.
lane is so open.
Yeah.
The lane
Well,
is open.
In this scoring situation, it's like in this score, it's like we're only down by one. Like maybe get a little action towards the basket, potential foul draw. Like we're just
Well,
gravitating
that's
through
what I like
points.
about Pritchard's aggressiveness on this play, though, is when he gets the ball, he
It
immediately
doesn't just settle.
notices.
Yeah,
He
which is
goes, "Oh,
good.
there's a lane," and just
Yeah.
attacks it
Yeah.
aggressively. And I would argue, I mean, the Sixers made a great play on this because Edgecombe, I mean, Pritchard. What's unfortunate is, like, maybe, the play. This is where the elite playmaking comes into play, right? If we were to break down this play with, wait, let me let's 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 get the right angle here on this one. Okay, so Pritchard right here. Let's get the focus. There we go. So Pritchard, I mean, look at Simons at the top of the. Oh, there.
Oh, we got a little reflection. But I see where you're going with this.
But like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, so Pritchard,
The
he's
collapse.
driving the lane. Edgecombe is cheating over, right? He's cheating
Mhm.
over. He's slapping at that ball, which does make it hard for Pritchard to go and throw a pass out to the perimeter. But if you notice on this play, Pritchard, I'm gonna try to show this one more time up here, which I actually just whoops. I pressed it. Okay. I fast forwarded a little bit. But this play right here, which I can't, there we go. Pritchard, look how much attention he's drawing. And then look at Simons over here. I mean, look how much attention Pritchard is drawing at this moment in time in the lane. I mean, look at Edgecombe. Edgecombe, you, me, ball. He's not even paying attention to
There's so
Simons
many
right here.
there's a lot of options off it too, because
Right.
you get a kick out. Brown is actually sealing his guy right there. Maybe you get a little dump down.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Right
like,
there.
just boom, right? You little
Right.
dump down right there.
So I
Either
think
pass it out to
that's
Simons or,
yeah, and we've
Pritchard.
talked about it, like Pritchard's playmaking, like there is room for improvement in my eyes, and And I think sometimes he gets a little too deep into the paint where like guys collapse on him.
Oh, this one is really tough. I mean, really, like this. Oh. All right, folks, I dropped the iPad into the camera. So, hey, is the iPad okay? Of course it is. It landed on carpet. All right. So, okay, but this is a screenshot worth showing right here, folks, because look at the attention. Seriously, Pritchard is receiving in the lane. And then look, you have Simons and Hauser and White. Come on. Throw it out to him. So, like, this is a lot. See, I love film breakdowns because you go into it and you go, wow, this is a lot worse than envision, right? You go, yeah, Pritchard taking that shot. It's like, hey, he drove aggressively. You like to see that. You like to see everything. So you like to see everything that Pritchard tried to do, right? But then ultimately you run back the film, you realize all 5 Sixers defenders are looking at Pritchard in the paint, which that's the first part. He did the first part well, right? He drove aggressively. That's what demands all of that attention, right? He drove aggressively. That's the first part. He did well. The second part is, okay, once you draw that attention, where's the correct pass? What's the correct play? Right? Is it a one-on-one opportunity? Because right there, Pritchard tries to go through Grimes, but then there are a ton of hands just slapping down at the ball. And what happened? That ball actually got blocked to the point where Pritchard threw up this weird shot that hit the bottom of the rim and went down, and then that whole out of bounds sequence happened. But I mean, right there, you have all 5 guys. I mean, is the pass to Hauser for 3? I mean, there was 5 seconds left. So if it was out to Hauser, Simon's on the key, or rather standing on the wing, you have maybe a shot for Hauser, but if that's not open, boom, over to Simons, right? And then that option too, that little dump down to Jaylen Brown. That's what also has to be considered on these ATO plays as well. I mean, the ATO for the Celtics didn't seem to work how it was supposed to out of the timeout, right? But then the secondary part of it actually was working to a T. It just one more pass needed to be made, if not 2 more passes, depending on what that one more pass that result would have been.
Once again, Pritchard hasn't always played in those scenarios, like in those late game, in those late game scenarios, so it's something that he may not have recognized. It's something that, there's so many factors that go into the fact that he didn't make a decision or the fact that, he didn't necessarily get the best shot possible in that scenario. Like, there's a lot of factors go into it, and Joe Mazzola just has to take him to the film room like we did. Maybe they just watch this and break down the film and just say, hey, in the future you make this decision, or understand that it doesn't just fall on you. There's still opportunities to make plays. I mean, LeBron to Danny Green, I mean, it's a selfish. I think a lot of times being unselfish in scenarios like that, when guys are grabbing to you and they think you're going to take the last shot, it's like there's a really good opportunity because guys are just gravitating to just dish it off and make that play. But then the ego comes in, like, I got to take that last shot. It's a difficult situation. It's definitely difficult.
And we, of course, entered the film room as the Celtics will this week, particularly tonight and tomorrow. I'm sure they'll be watching film tonight, but tomorrow on Thursday, instead of Thursday night football, folks, maybe just a little bit more film, right? But Celtics will be preparing for a game on Friday against the New York Knicks at MSG. So the Celtics entering MSG for the first time since that bludgeoning in Game 6 back in the Eastern Conference semifinals. I'm sure we all, well, maybe we don't remember that. I feel like we've been trying to get that out of our memory at this point in time, but we let's face it, we did shows. We remember it well. But the Celtics on Friday will be playing at the New York Knicks in the first ever telecasted Amazon Prime game. What just happened? Did Griff what just Well, I'm left alone. What?
I pressed the technical by accident. I made a misclick. My apologies.
I was like, all right. I'm like, all right. I guess I'm taking over, folks. So here we go. Let's talk about. It's like big prime day on Friday. Big prime, but the first ever telecasted NBA game on Amazon Prime will be Friday between the Knicks and the Celtics playing at MSG. looking ahead to that game, right? The Celtics now 0-1 on the season, under 500, no wins yet. What do the Celtics need to do in that game in order to pick up their first win of the 25-26 NBA regular season?
They gotta play aggressive from the tip. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. They need to play aggressive. They need to play synced as one team. They need to get the chemistry going. I know it's better said than done. I know this takes time to develop chemistry, but they gotta do it. They gotta be more aggressive on defense, and they gotta be shooting the lights out because Joe Mazzulla is gonna live and die by the three ball, and that's what they gotta do in order to get the win in New York. And I do have to say, Seamus and Andrew, I did do the bet, by the way. I did do the bet, so I will be
No way.
short soon. It's kind of funny. I wasn't willing to buy my own Yankees hat.
Wait, you did the bet? Oh, wait, you executed the stipulations of the bet.
Yeah, I wore a Yankees hat and made a video of it.
How do we not know about this? Griffin, you're going to have to do it again.
I'm gonna
You're gonna have
post
to-
it. I'm gonna post it.
Yes,
for everyone.
this video.
This might be AI. It might be fake. I don't know.
No,
It was
no,
pretty.
no.
I
made
thought we
it.
Dude.
agreed that
I have.
I thought we agreed it was live stream, Griffin.
Well,
Yeah.
Is that not in the
get me a
contract?
Yankees hat
We'll
and
have to go back
I
and
will
review
wear it
that.
all live.
Well,
if someone
was that not in the
someone
contract?
orders me a
No, I'm
Yankees
just
hat,
kidding.
I will do it. But I will be posting a short soon of the video I took at Target. I think it was at Target.
Target? You're supposed to jump in the water.
Target.
Oh, I'm not supposed to do that. That's supposed to be Quincy.
Oh my god. Okay. We're getting these all
Both of you guys,
confused.
time out. We're gonna have to go and review it. You know what's funny is actually that preview is like 3 hours long. So to preview when exactly you said that might take a minute, but otherwise,
But I have the
we're gonna
video.
review that. We're gonna
I
bring
have
this
the
up.
video though.
And
That's all
keep
that
in
matters.
mind-
I have the video.
Make it known that we are going to have many of those previews because that was fun. Celtics Nation Rise, like we're gonna, because those were good. So
Not to get off topic, but talking about win totals before the season, right? I'm pretty bullish on the Magic this year, right? And I'm looking back, I'm like, why am I so high on the Magic? We did 10 shows, not
Yeah.
10 shows. And I'm trying to think, maybe no. Did we do No, that was for the Knicks series. 10 shows on the Celtics Magic series. So by the time that series was over, we knew everything about the Magic. Same thing with the Knicks. I mean, those two teams. I mean, we just knew everything about. But we will see one of them on Friday.
Yeah,
ultimately.
and for me, like the keys to success in that game is obviously, shutting Brunson down and just playing defense as a team, as a unit. I think that's something we have to play together, because you can't win without playing team defense. You can have Brown, you can have Derek White that play good individual defense, but if you can't link everyone together and communicate and really have a solid defensive front, I mean, there's just no way of stopping a team like the Knicks, who are very good, who have added some significant pieces in my eyes, in Jordan Clarkson, Yabusele, like they're a team that's really looking to prove something, and so we definitely have to be on our, play to our best capabilities, and that starts on the defensive end, and then just continue to really take confident shots, take high quality shots, keep attacking the basket because we're really good at that right now at drawing fouls, and that could be something that we utilize against a guy like Towns and Brunson and see if we can get them in foul trouble. I just think the Celtics really have to start playing basketball a little more strategic, a little more game to game specific of how we're going to win. It's not just this one formula that we've had in the past. I think it needs to be a little more specific. We need to really find margins that we can win on and emphasize that game to game, so that's where I'm at right now. And the Knicks are beatable. It's just, are the Celtics willing to play defense, and are they willing to play unselfish offense and just ultimately knock down shots? Like, we just didn't shoot that well tonight, and so hopefully they get the negative energy, the jitters out from this first game and just shoot a little better. And that's kind of what I see for keys for success in that game.
And of course, entering the matchup Friday, the Knicks, they'll have a win under their belt already. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. The East favorite Cleveland Cavaliers. A little weird to say that. I mean, it feels like
I don't know, the
back to
Cavs
2018 with LeBron. East favorite Cavs.
I mean, we're not going into the Cavs topic, but I know they didn't have Garland tonight, but like depth wise, they were a little something fell off of that. But
I think that was
we'll discuss that later.
I feel like that sound bit of whatever just came up. I mean, that was perfect. That was ultimately perfect. But that's going to end it here tonight on CTW Postgame Show Live. Griffin, come on, man. You gotta turn off your phone, man. You gotta turn off your phone. You gotta turn off your phone. No, you gotta turn it on silent. I mean,
we'll be back next post.
What can you say? He's a busy guy. He's a popular guy.
But we will also be back next postgame, folks, on the CTW postgame show on Friday. The Celtics take on the Knicks, trying to redeem themselves from this horrid loss tonight. The Celtics fall to the Philadelphia 76ers in the season opener, 117-116. The Boston Celtics fall to 0-1 on the season. However, Friday will look to improve to 1-1 with a redemption win over the New York Knicks. We will have you guys covered here on the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube channel for that one. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and follow to the YouTube channel. Also, go check out the Instagram page as well, at Celtics Talk Weekly, at Celtics Nation Rise, and of course at Celtics.everyday. Celtics Rising as well. You can see earlier, Justin Lowe. But go check us all out across all social platforms, including YouTube. We'll be back with you guys here on Friday. But for tonight, thank you all for watching. I am your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me, Andrew Quinn and Griffin Aldrich. And as we always say, go Celtics.